Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I have the all-new Nike Air Deldon 1, and these are all the pros and cons you gotta watch out for. Here we go. And starting in the uppers, actually these might be one of my favorite uppers of the year. At number one, starting in the tongue, it's two pieces of jersey material, which I think is just so neat. However, in the top part of it, look at all the bunting you get underneath of there. So when you're tying the lace line down, a ton of comfort, really plush feeling, especially kind of on your ankle area. So really no irritation, especially with the whole fly ease contraption around there. And now sometimes that can kind of dig in. This was really a nice little addition to kind of counteract that. Now, if you go further into the uppers here, you do have a little bit of a recycled toe drag guard, as well as some kind of like leatherette suede material, and then more jersey material here going down on the medial side of the shoe. Now, these do fit super plush and comfortable, and for something that is a fly ease shoe, which means you can just pull this contraption down here and slide into them, you do kind of need the uppers to be a little bit more malleable to kind of get your foot in there so you're not crinkling the shoe. And so for that application it works, but also just kind of kicking around in them, they also are just a really plush and comfortable upper shoe. The one thing about the uppers though you have to watch out for is the fly ease opening. Now, I know it is pretty cool, you can pull it down and slide into there. However, you can't have the shoelaces tied like super tight. So if you're going to play a basketball game and you're trying to lock yourself down, don't expect to get in and out of these super easy. You have to have the shoelaces tied pretty loose to be able to use that fly ease, or just not tied at all. However, if you notice here in the ankle collar, there is no heel counter. The only heel counter that these have is the fly ease. Now, this is super strong plastic back here. However, it's gonna start breaking down a little bit just because it isn't a solid piece. It's two wings, right? And if you are actually using the fly ease after doing this 1,000 times, right, this is gonna start to either wear down or crack. So just remember, this is not the strongest heel countered shoe. That does have its benefits as well as drawbacks, which we'll get to in a minute. But if you look at that recycled toe drag guard on the upper durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, I mean, the Dremel barely made an impression on that. So, you know, for kind of a more of like a recycled look material type product, it still does really well. Plus, you also have all this outsole tread that rides up over there on the medial side as well as on the lateral side. So there's something that kind of drags side to side on the lateral side or on the medial side. You know, you're gonna have tremendous coverage of your toe caps. So this is really kind of a nice little feature here, all that jersey material, all that more plush feeling material around your foot. You still do get a super aggressive guard around your toes, which is a really nice addition. And looking at the midsole and the teardown, I was really hoping Jordan Brand or Nike would bring this back, and I'm super happy they did on the Deldons, and that is the full-length Air Strobel. I absolutely love this cushioning. It just feels so plush underfoot. A little bit of air tension there, so you're still getting performance, but also a plush feeling. Plus, and you also get the Zoom Air unit here under the forefoot. It is pretty thin, however, under Air Strobel too, you don't need a ton of air there. You still want some ground contact. So I actually thought that was a actually pretty good design tweak there, making it thinner so you get the air tension, but also not so high off the ground where you're getting unstable. But the one thing you'll notice is the Deldons do not have a shank. You have a carrier of Phylon that goes all the way around, plus the fly ease system. That's really the only rigid parts in this shoe. The rest of it is pretty plush, a little bit more malleable. So if you're looking for something for really stout, rigid arch support in there, it just doesn't have a shank, so just watch out for that. But even without the shank, looking at it on the jump height test, 40.5 centimeters, which is darn good for a shoe with minimal foam and no shank. Now, I would expect that to go down over time as that Phylon starts to kind of wane down and starts to get used. However, because of the profile of the shoe, because the uppers hug you so well and the shoe is just easy to get up off the ground, it's so malleable, I think that's why while these are new, you can still get quite a bit of pop out of them. And looking at the outsole tread, this is another rippling, almost like topographical map pattern. It radiates from under the ball of your foot, which I like, gives you a little more pivoting power, and then radiates out here in the forefoot, as well as the same thing here in the heel. Now, this is pretty thin rubber, so you would think it would give like really squeaky kind of screeching type feelings on a hardwood court. However, because it is encased here in a periphery of rubber, which isn't as tacky, they're not the most kind of stop on a dime type shoes. They're not bad for traction by any means, and because the shoe is so malleable, you get a good grip just because of the profile of the shoe, plus it's a full length tread pattern, it's continuous. However, if you're looking for something to come to a screeching kind of squeaky type stop, these aren't it. A little bit more forgiveness, especially on hardwood courts. On an asphalt or concrete court, I thought these were going to gonna start slipping out from underneath of me. They didn't whatsoever. If you look at the shuttle test, even 14.63 seconds. And that's just because, like I said, once again, I think same thing as the jump height test. They're just so easy to get around. The grip is decent, but they're just easy to kind of throw around. They have so much flexibility to them. So even though they aren't the most speed focused shoe, they don't have any carbon fiber or any like real stiff plastic in there to kind of launch you or give you a diving board effect. You're able to kind of use your own tools a little bit to still use these shoes in kind of a lot of different scenarios. But if you look at the outsole durability test, the Dremel 10-second highest grit sandpaper, a little bit over 1 millimeter of damage on a 2 millimeter tread depth, and it actually goes down to 1 millimeter at some spots. So if you are gonna be playing with these on an outdoor court, get ready for a little bit of quicker wear on these. The durometer is only 11.7, so it's not super hard over compound. So I would say if you're gonna be using these on an outdoor court, you should be on painted kind of smooth courts or be playing pickleball, because these actually are kind of a sneaky good pickleball shoe, but just kind of dragging, sliding, really aggressive screeching footwork is really gonna make these kind of go down a little bit faster. If you're someone that plays a little bit more light on their feet with these, you actually probably won't do too bad. And like I said, the profile of them on the outdoor courts is fine, just gonna wear down a little bit quicker. But getting into the fit of the Deldon, I honestly really pleasantly surprised in the forefoot, because shoe is super expandable. So if you are a narrow or medium foot, because the lockdown is kind of chunky in there, you can just go true to size. If you're a 2E foot, I went true to size on these actually, and I didn't really have any issues whatsoever with cramping or any breaking whatsoever. The uppers are just so accepting, right? However, I will say if you are a 4E foot or a super wide foot bunion or tailor's bunion, and you want to use the Fly Ease system, it might be a little bit difficult. And because this is a full length Air Strobel unit, somebody with ball of foot pain, plantar heel pain is going to feel really good for you while they are new. Once you start wearing them down a little bit more, you're going to start noticing that's not going to feel as great. But while the shoe is new, or if you are a lighter weight player, it's going to do just fine. Now, if you are someone that is an ankle sprainer, a subtalar joint sprainer, if you are one of them, you'll know what I mean, or just somebody with a lot of instability or loose ligaments, as they would say, because there is no rigid heel counter in these, you're just going to want to look somewhere else. These allow so much mobility in the rear foot. But speaking of that profile in the rear foot, if you look at the playability of the Deldon, these are one of the most creative shoes on the market right now, because they are a continuous tread pattern, and because they do allow so much flexibility and so much range of motion in the rear foot, plus you sit so low to the ground in these. You can just really do a lot with these. The shoe kind of allows you to move in a lot of different directions, and it just accommodates a lot of different footwork styles. I kind of noticed kind of going side to side, hesitation steps, stutter steps, really kind of anything where you're trying to outwork somebody with footwork, or just trying to allow your foot to get the most range of motion it can, the most degrees of freedom in a shoe that still is pretty kind of mid-top construction. These are it. If you're looking for a shoe for a super low to the ground feel without that bottoming out, feel like the ball of your foot's hitting the ground, these are where it's at. If you're just someone that likes to create a lot, someone that's kind of gets themselves into weird, awkward positions, where you're trying to get yourself out of a bad position in a crowded space, your back's against the wall, these will allow you to do the most with your footwork. So if you're somebody with really elite footwork, then you're really gonna like these, especially with that low to the ground kind of prowling type feel. So I think that's also why, even with not the screeching, super grippy type outsole, these still give a really good outsole profile, because the entirety of your foot is giving grip to these. You're getting a ton of ground contact and a ton of ground feel. You still get a lot of tactile sensation from this, even though there is a bed of air under you, which I thought was just really good engineering in these shoes. Someone really thought a lot about how these were going to feel underfoot. So I think if you are someone that really likes to get creative with their footwork, someone that really needs a lot of degrees of freedom in these, this is your shoe. If you're someone that has a problem with that though, then you're probably gonna wanna look elsewhere. And just one word about the Fly Ease system. If you are gonna be using these to play basketball, just don't use the Fly Ease system there. Just pretend it's not there. If I were you, I would just be lacing these up like normal, like every other day basketball shoes, because the more you use this, the quicker it's gonna start to wear down, and it might crack or just might fail on you. But just allow this to do its job in terms of performance. I wouldn't get so caught up in just trying not to have to lace your shoes. So if you're gonna get them, just lace them like normal. Pretend this isn't there. But of course, I'd love to know your opinion on these in the comments below. Honestly, if I was in the market for new basketball shoes right now, I'd probably be thinking pretty hard about these, if nothing else, that they kind of remind me of the Nike Air Mags. I'm not sure why, just when I look at them, I kind of see the Air Mags. So I'm kind of a fan of these. I also love the fit and profile of them, just kind of even kicking around in them. They are a super plush and comfortable shoe. So like I said, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you want to see the other sibling to the Deldon that has Air Strobel in it, the Jordan Zion 2, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you in the next one.